You probably already know about most of the potential benefits of self-improvement, but did you know about the potential downsides? I didn't when I first started, and that was over 10 years ago, but now I definitely do. That's why in this video, I'm gonna reveal to you the side of self-improvement nobody talks about, the dark side. So if you're into self-improvement, this is a video you don't want to miss. Now, whether you're just getting into self-improvement or you've been practicing it for a while, you've probably started to understand that self-improvement is a lifestyle. It's definitely not just a habit or a tip that you can just implement in a day and be done with. It isn't something you can just half-ass and expect to get some amazing results. It's something that requires potential years of dedication, discipline, facing your fears, being honest with yourself, and dealing with pain. In fact, the first couple of years of self-improvement will probably be the most psychologically and physically painful years of your life. But at the same time, it'll also be some of the most important and profound years of your life, because it's during this time that you're putting in place the foundations for who you want to become, and ultimately who you're meant to be. And on top of all that, self-improvement is not glamorized in society. There's no one saying that you should improve yourself. If anything, society is saying the opposite. And as a result, most people think it's actually weird to want to improve yourself. Oh, you want to grow? You want to become a better person? Are you not good enough as you are right now? You know all that stuff is BS, right? This is what your closest friends and even family members might say to you. And all of this comes with the lifestyle of self-improvement. To actually succeed in this lifestyle, you have to be strong enough to deal with all these negatives and more. This is why self-improvement is not easy, and it's also why it's not for the faint of heart. But what you should also understand about self-improvement is that it's a constant, never-ending journey of growth. And if you're constantly growing, it's only a matter of time until you lose yourself, until you lose the parts of you that don't serve you. And this doesn't just apply to you, it applies to your whole life. It applies to the people in your life that aren't really who you authentically vibe with. It applies to those negative habits, routines, and belief systems that continually causes you to manifest and act out these negative cycles, which are affecting your quality of life without you even realizing it every single day. It applies to the information you're attracted to, the music you listen to, the hobbies you choose to spend most of your time investing in. The point I'm making here is that if you're practicing self-improvement, who you are today will not be who you are a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. In fact, I got into self-improvement a little over 10 years ago, and there is a night and day difference between who I was and who I am now. I mean, I may as well be a different person at this point. 10 years ago, I was lost, depressed, purposeless, insecure, and to be honest, I hated myself. Every day, I felt like I was just existing, going through the motions of life. But now, after losing myself, I know exactly where I'm going. I'm happy, full of purpose, confident. I can very easily say I love myself, and I'm in the driver's seat of my life. So although to most people who want to stay in their comfort zone and continue just existing, losing themselves may as well be equated as death. But if you have the desire to be something more, you're gonna have to face the fear of losing yourself if you really want to experience the fulfillment of finding your actual self. Now, if you have any quick questions, put them in the comments below. And if you're really serious about taking the quality of your life to the next level and actually experiencing permanent life-changing results, book a one-on-one session with me. Also, make sure to download my free ebook, Your Hero's Journey. I created this book specifically for you to help you along your personal development journey. And I can guarantee you that by the time you finish this book, you'll 100% be a different person. You can find the links to both of these in the description and the pinned comment down below. Now, the third secret that nobody tells you about in self-improvement is just how many unrealistic expectations most people have around self-improvement. Most people, and myself included when I first started, think self-improvement is easier, quicker, and more exciting than it actually is. But the cold hard truth is that self-improvement is not easy. For the most part, is not quick. And 99% of the time is not exciting. But on the flip side, the more you practice self-improvement, the more it actually does become easy, quick, and exciting. Because if you can get past the hardest phase of self-improvement, which is usually the limbo phase of working towards who you want to become, while also not really feeling like you are that person yet, you can then get into the phase where you're basically growing on autopilot and start actually experiencing all the work you put in. Because during this phase, the habits and mindsets you developed over your self-improvement journey have become so ingrained in you. Unfortunately, most people don't want to hear this though. They don't want to hear that self-improvement is really a lifelong journey. They don't want to hear that self-improvement can sometimes take years until you finally get what you want. They don't want to hear that 99% of what self-improvement actually looks like is honestly just doing that potentially boring, positive habit or routine you created that nobody sees 10,000 times. Then randomly, on the 10,001st time, people start noticing you and you finally get the recognition you feel like you deserve. Nah, people just want to hear,
do these 5 tips and tricks so you can get ahead of the competition instantly.
And I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but most things in self-improvement takes time to implement and do not happen instantly. One thing I've noticed throughout my life is that people who are generally unhappy are usually not focused on the present. They're usually overly focused on the past or the future. Now, for most people who aren't into self-improvement, the future oftentimes is a bit scary because it represents uncertainty. So instead of focusing on the uncertain future, they often focus on the certain past and reminisce about it while avoiding the things that are happening in the present. And this causes them to miss out on all the great things that are happening for them in the present and eventually leads to a sense of unhappiness. Now, the reason I bring this up is because when you get into self-improvement, you naturally start living in the future, because probably for the first time in your life, you actually start thinking about who you want to become, about your goals, your vision, your purpose. And of course, this is all amazing, but there's a danger here because a lot of people can actually get stuck here. Because just like the person who isn't into self-improvement and who overly focuses on the past, the person who is into self-improvement can oftentimes form a bad habit of overly focusing on the future. When you overly focus on the future, every single little result that happens in your life ends up needing to be in alignment with what you want. And when it's not in alignment with what you want, you oftentimes feel negative, feel bad, feel depressed. You'll start to question yourself and wonder if everything you're doing is even worth it. Sometimes you might even question your whole life. And as a result, all of this negative energy starts to build up and eventually hold you back, hurt you, and sometimes make you feel even less happy than you were before you even started self-improvement in the first place. Remember how I said that the people who are generally the most unhappy are the people that are not focused on the present? Well, this is exactly what happens to a lot of people who start practicing self-improvement. And I've struggled and sometimes still struggle with this one myself. It's the reason so many people who get into self-improvement eventually quit, because it's hard to put the work in and not see the results you want. I've had to personally learn, and still am learning, to take each day step by step and not get so hung up on the future, because when you do focus on the future every single day, you miss out on the present. And before you even know it, weeks will go by without you even realizing it and without you even remembering them. Because during those weeks, you were so focused on the future and you were so focused on improving day by day. And I know all of the things I've brought up aren't the most positive, and you may even be questioning whether self-improvement is actually worth it. But despite all of the reasons I've listed, would I give up self-improvement? Hell no. Self-improvement may be hard, but the results are so worth it. And guess what? The results are permanent. Once you grow into a higher quality of life, you can't go back, because self-improvement works internally. It works on who you are. And personally, since I've started self-improvement, my quality of life has improved in all aspects of my life, and it has not ever gone back. So having practiced self-improvement for over 10 years, I can assure you that the juice is definitely worth the fucking squeeze. And if you think about it, what really is the other alternative? It's eventual self-decay, stagnation, ignorance, and for the majority of people, unhappiness and lack of fulfillment. Personally, for me, this is something I definitely don't want to experience. And if you're still watching this video, I'm pretty positive that this is something you definitely don't want to experience either. Which is why your next step is to watch this video, where I talk about the best S-tier habit you're going to need to implement on your self-improvement journey.